There have been a lot of headlines around the hepatitis B vaccine. Here to break it down, Dr. Ron Dummar on the Be Well Now podcast.
Yeah, there has been a lot. And, and other vaccines as well. We've seen even like Florida, I think the state of Florida has completely eliminated any mandate. So they're not allowed, no school, no public building, to require a mandate of any vaccine to participate in any activity. And this is interesting because I had a patient recently who they play basketball, and they said, "Oh my gosh!" And they actually don't play here in Heber, but they play
Heber City, Utah,
basketball.
Home of the Be Well Now podcast.
That's where we are.
And Community Health and Wellness.
Yeah, and thanks for liking and subscribing.
Right. Okay.
And yeah, you like and subscribe, and we get to do more.
Well, it's actually they're running a holiday special. On YouTube, it's free to subscribe. So go ahead and get yourself a subscription.
It costs you nothing. That's great.
No, but talking about parents out there and concern for their kid, like, what do I do? Do I give them the vaccine? I'm a little bit hesitant, or I'm very anti, or maybe I think it's okay, but now I'm seeing all these headlines. You're talking about this parent.
Yeah, exactly. So this parent comes to me. Her daughter plays basketball, and they have told her, okay, because you've chosen to not get a vaccine, then you will have to miss 21 days if there's any exposure in the school or in the team or in the locker room or anything. If they detect that anybody nearby her gets it, she will have to stay at home for 21 days. Okay? So what did we do? We actually, with her, we did homeoprophylaxis, which is immunization. It is stimulating and teaching the immune system to basically be ready for whatever pathogen comes in its way, right? So in this case, we helped her with measles, because in this state of Utah right now, what do you see all over the headlines? Oh, one more case of measles, one more case of measles. And if you remember, there was like that Brady Bunch episode from, I think it was 1970 or 1980s or something, when they all like laughed and they're like, oh yeah, we have the measles.
Boy, this is the life, isn't it?
Yeah, if you have to get sick, you sure can't beat the measles.
That's right. No medicine. Inside or out. Like shots, I mean.
Don't even mention shots. Yeah.
Measles. Well, all the kids have now had the measles.
So have I.
And they're like, okay, what's the best way to help the measles? Well, the best way is to, stay home and play games and have fun and share it all together.
And now
that's how serious we thought it was.
Now it's like breaking news, screen goes fully red,
Yeah.
The measles.
Like, what happened to us? Like, when did we become so fearful of what used to be just a common occurrence in childhood? That is so unusual. So now, as a result of some of this, like philosophy and understanding, we do have two groups. We have like two camps, you could say. There's a camp that basically says you have to follow the science, and it's all about science, and the science is with vaccines. And if you don't follow vaccines or support vaccines or think that vaccines are the best thing, given to man, then basically you're what is quoted as anti-vax, and you hate vaccines, and you literally are a science denier, is what they say. But the reality is, when you look at what evidence there is to support a lot of these vaccines, especially the childhood immunization schedule, we don't really have much research to back it up. And it's actually coming out now because they're requesting documents, and they're doing what are called FISA requests, which is public information requests from the government, from government agencies that were supposed to do tests, that were supposed to say, okay, this is what's happening, and we can tell you based on this information and this data that these vaccines are safe. And there were studies that were supposed to be done. And what we're finding now, based on FISA requests, is that those studies were never done. So we don't have the data. We don't have the information to say whether they were safe or not. Okay? And what people are proposing is they're saying, hey, my child, and this has been a debate for a long time, they're saying my child developed these conditions after receiving a vaccine. But we don't really have any studies to suggest one way or the other, right? So what do vaccine advocates say? Vaccine advocates say, well, we don't have any data to suggest that it's not beneficial. Oh, okay. You don't have any data to suggest that it's not beneficial, which also means you don't have any data to suggest that it is beneficial, right? Or we don't have any data to suggest that it's safe. But we also don't have any data to suggest that they're not safe. Okay? So where does that put us? Where does that put us in the vaccine conversation?
That's what we're here for. I'm a parent. Tell me what I need to know.
Squarely in the middle, right? It puts us squarely in the middle of like, we don't know. So who is the best person to decide? Who's the best person to decide?
Someone in an office who's in the government far away from me is the best person to decide what's best for my kids, right?
Absolutely.
Right?
I love your facetious nature right now, Nick. That's fantastic. So true, right? Like nobody believes that. Like who really believes? Like some people do think, I take that back. Some people do think, hey, well, there are scientists and there are a lot of scientists working on this and they are smarter than us and they're making decisions and I trust them. Cool. That's great. And that's why we say, show me the science. That's fine. That's fine if you're working on it, but you need to also be transparent and show parents the science. This is part of what the quote unquote anti-vax group say, informed consent. Well, that's fine. Like if you think we should take this vaccine, if you think we should take this drug product, no problem. No problem. Just show us the evidence. Show us the potential for harm. Show us the potential risk. Show us the benefit. Is there a risk-benefit analysis that's been done? And the reality is we don't have that information. We don't have it. And when you look at certain trials that have been done, like the hepatitis B vaccine, you can go into the fact sheet of the vaccine, the information sheet, and you can go, I think it's actually I looked at this recently, section 6.2, but it talks about whatever data was gathered and what safety trials were performed. They followed the infants that were vaccinated for how many days do you think? I mean, think about it this way. Let's say if you have a medical procedure done, how long do you think you would have to follow that person in order to see whether they had an adverse reaction to that medical procedure?
I don't know, like a year.
A year? Okay. Yeah. Maybe
10 years?
6 months, 10 years.
I don't know.
Yeah. How long do you think at least 30 days, right? Okay. So they followed in these hepatitis B vaccine safety trials, the infants for 5 days. Okay. One of them they did for 4 days. And then also the power of these studies were just not sufficient. One of them was like 100. They studied 100 infants and followed them for 5 days. Another one was like 400. That's cool. It's more than 100, but sufficiently powered, not a chance. Like how do you extrapolate that out to millions of people and say, okay, based on our research now, based on these 100 kids and us following them for 5 days, we're going to recommend to every single parent that has a child that they need to do this. They need to inject this foreign product, this external product into their child. Because
the Federal Vaccine Advisory Committee is now saying infants no longer need hepatitis B vaccine at birth.
That's
exactly
the big headline where we are.
That's where we're at.
That's exactly where we are.
Not everyone's happy about it.
All of these things that are happening, and we have to be like from the ACIP committee, that what they're doing is they're taking all of these things into consideration, saying what data do we really have, and what decisions can we make based on the data that we have. And what they've determined is that the data to support vaccinating at birth every single infant is just not there. We just don't have it. We don't have enough data to support that. So some people will say, well, vaccines have been so beneficial. They've cured thousands of things and prevented millions and millions of deaths. And we just don't know that. We don't know that. You can't say that because it's not scientifically based. Okay. So when we look at, we're talking about giving a product, a foreign product, to every single child that's born in the United States, what do you think is the rigor of research or study, or what's the level of proof that we need as parents, all of us, to buy in to every single one of us, regardless, to put a foreign product into our child at birth? Shouldn't that be studied? Shouldn't that be fully researched? Shouldn't there be like no doubt, no question, no problem?
And what you're saying is the science just isn't robust enough to put it into babies, like blind
mass.
We're
talking about mass vaccination. And then they also, like when you look at President Trump recently, what he put out is he said he wanted a review of the whole entire immunization schedule. And as part of that, if you read it, and I went through and read it, but what he said is he wants us to compare it to the rest of the world. And if you look at the rest of the world, they're like a fraction of what we immunize. They're a fraction of it. We have like, by the time you're 16, you have somewhere around 70 to 80 injections for vaccines.
But America's the best, aren't we?
Yeah.
Aren't we the best in the world at everything?
We're the best at supporting the multinational pharmacological, big pharma industry.
How does our health scores rank globally?
We are 39th out of 40 of developed nations in the world.
So that wasn't me trying to be anti-patriotic. It was just saying like our outcomes are not ideal. So let's look downstream or upstream and be like, we don't have to blindly just keep doing this.
Exactly.
If the results aren't what's the definition of insanity?
Yeah, exactly.
Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, as my uncle once said. Anyway, go ahead.
Another thing that I would like to bring up, and we're doing okay here. So it's like this term anti-vax. I had a mother. I was talking to a mother the other day. She's having her second child, and she had recently had a scare with her first child, and he had maybe a mild fever, and then he had a little seizure. And if you've ever had a child, a young child, and then you see them have a febrile seizure, it's scary. It's a scary thing, and you have no idea what to do, and it's catastrophic for you. And so she took him and rushed him right to the ER, and they evaluated him. It's like, oh, it's a febrile seizure, but then they wanted to do all these tests, and then they did MRIs and X-rays. They had to do all of these things to him, and then all of a sudden they were at Primary Children's, and they injected him with a variety of different medications, right? And they had fentanyl that they were using to just keep him sedated because they needed him to stay still. And then they needed to find out, well, how long? Okay, we need to keep him sedated in case we need to do more imaging. We need to see what the doctor says. So there's this whole process that's going on. And my point of saying this is that the mother had absolutely every right and was 100% justified to act the way that she did based on her instincts and what she felt needed to be done for that child at that time. And what did her instincts drive her to?
Dr. Ron Dummar in Heber City, Utah.
Well, no, her instincts drove her to the ER. Her instincts drove her to the ER. So what I'm saying is, look, we're not challenging. Like this whole crew called anti-vax, it's a pejorative. Like, stop using the term. We're not anti-vax. People are not anti-vax. They're pro-safety. They're pro-safety of their child. They will do anything for their child. And that's where mothers are. So stop calling them anti-vax. It's the same as the N-word to me. When I hear someone say anti-vax, I think, why on earth would you use that pejorative? That doesn't describe who they are. It doesn't even acknowledge the love that person has for their child, and it treats them like a number. It treats them not like an individual. It completely just disenfranchises them. So stop it. Stop saying anti-vax. And my goodness, like, don't refer to yourself as anti-vax either. Just don't do it, because you're not anti-vax. If you feel like that's your camp, like that's your tribe, really what you are is pro-safety. You're pro-safety because the moment that some catastrophic thing occurs, I guarantee you're going to be going to the ER, or you're going to be going to Western medicine, right? Because they're great at what they do, and they can make sure and harmonize and balance and create homeostasis for your child so that you can have a better life again.
So it's pretty much, you're not anti-Western medicine either.
Not at all.
Anti-pharmaceutical. It's like, I just want to like do the most I can in the least invasive way possible. And then if that doesn't work, my instincts say, okay, now I need to go to the ER or to try the antibiotic or the whatever it is. Like,
yeah, trust yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, let's respect mother's intuition. Let's respect dad's intuition. Let's put that back into the equation again. Let's recognize that mothers live with their children every single minute of every single day. Okay. They're up multiple times a night. Like, why are we taking the mother's intuition and parents' intuition out of the equation? And that's what's happening. When you call somebody anti-vax, or you roll your eyes when a mother questions whether or not they should give their child a vaccine, that's what you're doing. You're treating them like a nobody. Okay? They're not a nobody. They know their child better than anyone else. And you would be smart. You would be wise to listen to them. Okay? And I promise you, they will trust you. They trust you. When they believe their child's in harm or danger, they'll trust you. If their child's not in harm or danger, they're going to proceed in whatever fashion they feel is best for their child. That's what they're going to do. So let's listen to that and let's work with it, not against it. That's what we do. That's what I do, is I try to listen to the mothers, listen to the fathers, listen to the parents, the caretakers, and understand what's the best course of action for this child. Okay, so then she came to me after she'd had this whole experience and she related it to me. And really what we did is we put him on a detoxification plan, elimination for a child too, to help clear a lot of those medications out of his body and support the organs.
We've got some detoxification herbs here we were talking about in the previous podcast.
We still have them
if
here.
You're wondering what these are.
Yeah, so that's what we did, okay? And it's about supporting the child and supporting the mother as much as possible. Healthcare is about promoting health. That's what it's about, health promotion, okay? And we should, all of us, work with patients and with mothers and with family to promote as healthy an environment for them and as healthy a body, physiology as possible. That's it.
If folks want to learn more about homeoprophylaxis, you mentioned that it's a kind of a parallel track to vaccines, and it's something you talk a lot about, and it's something a lot of people haven't heard of. Yeah. So it's a way to try to, I guess, ward off disease in a preventative way.
HP. Yeah, health HP. Power, healing points, homeoprophylaxis is what we call it. This is a parallel track. And this is another thing that I wanted to talk about. If the vaccine is questionable for people, right, then I'm not saying, hey, don't vaccinate at all. I don't say that to people. What I say is, you know what, there's another option, because there is. There are other options. We learned this during COVID even. What's another option to achieve immunity? Well, one of those options is natural immunity. So you could choose to not get a vaccine or not get an immunization of any type, and you can still achieve immunity. Okay? It's called natural immunity. Another way of doing it is homeoprophylaxis, which is using these pellets, okay, that we introduce into the body, and it basically educates. It's like showing a mirror to your body of the pathogen. It's like holds it up. Hey, here's the blueprint. This is what it looks like, and then it's in such a small amount that's almost undetectable. Okay, when you compare and you look at vaccines and you look at homeoprophylaxis, they're almost the same thing. They have the same idea. They have the same intention. They're trying to support the body and teach and educate the body to protect itself against future harm or future pathogenic invasion. And the body will do that when given those right tools. So homeoprophylaxis is it's another option to vaccines, 100%. A parallel track.
You could write a book and probably talk for hours on this. What else would you like to referred to in this podcast. What else did you want to talk about?
You know what? I think that we've hit majority of the things that I wanted to cover today.
We'll send articles back and forth to each other, and the measles headlines in Utah, and obviously the hepatitis B schedule nationally has been a big one. And I know you're a voracious reader of all the research and the articles, and I know how much you care about all this stuff. And you're actually the one talking to patients every day. So parents just want to know the best information they can to keep their kids safe.
One of the interesting things with the ACIP committee, and they're reviewing all these vaccine schedule things as well, and they're also reviewing and looking at the flu vaccine and saying, hey, should we be mandating this? And what's the process, right? So what happened recently from the ACIP committee as well is they're suggesting that the flu vaccine actually needs to go through some sort of test phase or trial phase to see if it's actually going to be beneficial. And the way that flu vaccines work is pretty interesting because there's a group that studies and evaluates, and they look at, okay, what flu strains, like virus strains, seem to be circulating. And that's what they look at. What's been circulating? And then they look at those circulating strains, and then they guess, and they say, they make an educated guess, educated people. They go, okay, we think this strain's going to be the one that's going to affect us most this year. Okay, so they have a variety of different ways of doing that. And then what they do is they have to determine that about 6 months, at least 6 months before, so that they can ramp up production of that vaccine. So then they ramp up production of the vaccine, they get it out, try to promote it, get it into everybody's arms, and then go through the same process. Every 6 months, they're going through this process and doing it. So that is something that has been called into question. What they're saying is we need more research, we need more testing on the flu vaccines before we actually, ramp it up and produce it and put it into people's arms, because there's really no evaluation. There's no testing on the vaccine itself. And there's a variety of adjuvants and a variety of different preservatives and things that are in it that could be causing some of these issues people are suggesting they're getting, or it really could be the strain itself. We don't know. So we need more. Again, the key is we do need more research. We need more data. We need more safety trials. And that's what we in the community that are asking for this. We're not anti-vax. We're asking for safety. We're asking for actual real science, okay, not religious commitment, not worshiping at the altar of vaccines. That's not what we're wanting. We're wanting real science, real data, real information so that we can trust what we put into our babies and what we're being told to put into our children are safe. That's it.
If folks want to reach out to your clinic here in Heber City, Utah, Community Health and Wellness, how can they do that?
You can find us at chwheber.com, or you can call us directly or send us a text even at 435-657-3696. Thanks, everyone.
Be well now, everybody.
Be well now. Namaste.
Namaste.